Everyone keeps whispering that Hedera is the safe bet in crypto. The enterprise blockchain, the council-governed darling, the one that's different. Oh, please, safe? Safe compared to what? A toaster in a bathtub? If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I will give you a heart. Here's the truth. Hbar investors are living in a bubble of comfort lies. You keep repeating this mantra, it's enterprise ready, it's green, it's fast, the council has Google and IBM, nothing can go wrong. Newsflash, those names don't pay your rent, and they sure as hell don't protect your portfolio from token unlocks and market cycles. As of early 2025, Hedera still has over 60% of its supply yet to hit circulation. That's billions of tokens waiting to flood the market. So while you're patting yourself on the back for holding a future-proof coin, the reality is that massive supply pressure is crushing your dreams. Every unlock event is like someone throwing water on your campfire. But here's the funny part, you ignore it because it's inconvenient. Then when the price dips, you act surprised. That's like eating Taco Bell every day and being shocked your stomach hurts. And don't get me wrong, Hedera is a beast. Transactions settle in 3-5 seconds. Fees are a fraction of a cent, and it's carbon negative. That's incredible. But here's the twist. Great tech doesn't guarantee great returns. VHS beat Betamax, Windows beat better operating systems. The market doesn't care about better, it cares about adoption, liquidity, and narrative. But then again, you cling to the idea that adoption equals moonshots. Wrong. Adoption equals utility. Enterprises don't care if Hbar hits $10.00. They care if transactions clear fast, cheap, and securely. Your bags? Irrelevant. Smash that like button if you've ever secretly whispered, why the hell isn't price moving while reading a bullish Hedera press release? Yeah, I see you. And comment the word safe if you're done believing fairy tales about HBR being untouchable. Let's expose the comfort myth right here, right now. Let me ask you something blunt. Do you even know how many Hbar tokens exist? Or are you one of those investors who just buys because you saw Google and IBM on the council list and thought, well, this can't possibly go wrong? Wake up, because the biggest risk with Hedera isn't the tech, it's the tokenomics. And nobody wants to talk about it. Here's the truth. Hedera didn't launch like Bitcoin with a hard 21 million cap and a founder disappearing into the shadows. No, Hbar was born with a gigantic treasury vault, and the Hedera Foundation, along with the governing council, decides when and how to open that vault. That means billions of Hbar are still sitting there waiting to be released into circulation. As of 2025, less than 45% of Hbar's maximum supply is circulating. That means over half the tokens are locked, but scheduled to be released in chunks all the way through 2031. That's 6 more years of steady selling pressure. And yet, retail investors act shocked every single time the price dips after an unlock. Bro, what did you expect? Fireworks? But here's the funniest part. Every time Hedera announces a new unlock, you see the same comments. This is for ecosystem growth. Yeah, and eating a tub of ice cream every night is calcium growth for your bones, right? You can spin it however you want, but at the end of the day, it's dilution. More supply chasing the same demand equals price pressure. And it's not just small peanuts, we're talking about tens of millions of tokens hitting the market every single month. Do the math. If daily trading volume sits between $80 million, 0 cents, and $120 million, 0 cents, and they suddenly inject another $20, 0 cents, 30 million worth of tokens. What do you think happens? It's like trying to pour a gallon of water into a shot glass. It spills over, it makes a mess, and you end up wondering why your socks are wet. But here's where it gets interesting. Token unlocks aren't evil. They're actually necessary. Developers need tokens to build applications. Liquidity pools need tokens to function. Incentives are required to get enterprises to play ball. You think a major bank is going to run settlement experiments out of charity? Please, they're getting tokens as part of the deal. Unlocks are the price of expansion. Then, here's the twist. This expansion hurts you in the short term, but sets the stage for long-term dominance. Think of it like a gym membership. Right now, Hedera is handing out free trials left and right. It's expensive for the gym today, but the hope is that in the long run, those members stick around, start paying full price, and bring in their friends. The pain now equals growth later. The problem is most Hbar investors don't have the patience You want instant moonshots. You want green candles every day. But that's not how enterprise adoption works. Hedera isn't playing a 6-month game. They're playing a 10-year chess match against broken legacy systems. If you can't stomach that, maybe crypto isn't for you. Let's roast the psychology here. Every time Hbar dips, you cry manipulation? No, it's not manipulation. It's supply mechanics. You can't dump millions of tokens into a market and expect price to stay the same. That's like trying to eat 40 tacos in one sitting and acting surprised when you explode. And here's the silver lining. Once demand catches up, once enterprise usage, stablecoins, tokenization, and DeFi on Hedera truly scale, this supply risk flips into strength. Because now you've got liquidity, distribution, and adoption all working together. Then the flood of tokens doesn't sink the ship, it powers the engine. Look at history. Ethereum had huge early supply distributions. People screamed scam for years. And yet ETH went from under $1 to over $4,000, 0 cents at its peak. Supply didn't kill it. Demand saved it. Hedera could follow the same path if you survive the middle chapters. But again, survival requires honesty. If you can't handle volatility, if you cry every time Hbar drops 10%, maybe you should be in bonds, not crypto. This is the jungle. And in the jungle, survival of the smartest beats survival of the most optimistic. Now let's pause for a joke. Hbar investors complaining about unlocks are like people at a buffet who complain the restaurant keeps bringing out more food. There's too much supply. Bro, either eat or leave. Stop whining. And here's where I flip the knife one last time. The risk isn't just that Hedera has a lot of tokens. It's that you, the investor, don't understand what that means. You scream FOD when someone brings it up instead of realizing it's the elephant sitting right in front of you. And until you deal with that, you're always going to be shocked when price doesn't behave the way you fantasized. So let's end this segment with some accountability. Drop the word elephant in the comments if you're finally ready to admit token supply is the risk nobody wants to face. Let's separate the grown-ups from the hopium addicts. And hey, hit that subscribe button if you want someone to keep yelling the uncomfortable truth in your face while everyone else tells you bedtime stories about $100 0 cents Hbar. I'm not here to babysit your dreams. I'm here to wake you up. Because in the next segment, I'm not just exposing supply, I'm exposing you, the delusion problem, the way Hbar investors sabotage themselves with hopium, panic, and clown level thinking. And trust me, it's going to sting. Let's get one thing straight. The biggest threat to Hbar isn't the council, it isn't the supply schedule, and it isn't even regulation. It's you. Yes, you, the so-called investor who spends more time scrolling Twitter for hopium than actually learning how markets work. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't lose money because Hedera failed you. You lose money because you failed yourself. You buy high because of FOMO, you sell low because of fear, and then you run around crying scam as if the universe conspired to ruin your portfolio. Newsflash, it wasn't the universe. It was your own clown behavior. But here's where it gets funny. Hbar investors love to brag. We've got Google, we've got IBM, we've got Boeing. Yeah, and what do you think that means for you? Do you think Google is sitting in a boardroom plotting ways to make your $600 0 cents bag moon? No, they're figuring out how to cut costs, increase efficiency, and secure their systems. Your profit margin isn't in their PowerPoint slides. Then comes the classic delusion. Adoption equals price explosion. Wrong. Adoption equals utility. Enterprises are using Hbar as plumbing, not as a lotto ticket. Imagine being a plumber bragging that pipes are being installed everywhere and then crying that copper prices didn't go up. That's what you sound like. Hedera processed 2.4 billion transactions in January 2025 alone. Far more than Ethereum during the same month. Bullish, right? But here's the kicker. Most of those were low-cost microtransactions tied to network services. They don't translate into massive buy pressure. It's usage, yes, but not the kind that makes retail investors rich overnight. And yet, you tweet it like it's the second coming. But then when price doesn't move, you spiral into panic. You post memes, you rage quit Discord, you whisper about manipulation. It's not manipulation, it's your inability to separate network growth from speculative valuation. You're addicted to hopium, and every dip feels like betrayal. Here's the roast you didn't ask for, but need. Hbar investors are like gym bros who buy protein shakes, wear gym clothes, and post selfies, but never actually lift weights. You want the results without the discipline. You want the $10.00 Hbar without the 10-year grind. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Then there's the echo chamber problem. You only follow bullish accounts. You block anyone who posts criticism. You live in a world where every tweet says Hbar $100, 0 cents soon, and you eat it up because it feels good. But feelings don't pay rent. Data does. And let's not ignore the panic sell crowd. The people who swear they're in it for the long haul but dump everything at the first 20% dip only to FOMO back in higher. You are your own worst nightmare. If investing were a sport, most of you wouldn't even make the bench. Let me make this real. Jake, a 29-year-old investor from Chicago, bought Hbar at $0.08. He held until it hit $0.12, then panic sold because supply unlocks were coming. A week later, Hbar hit $0.15. He bought back in, convinced it was going to $1.00, then it dropped back to $0.11. Rinse, repeat, lose. Multiply Jake by 100,000 investors, and you've got the average Hbar community. Here's where it stings. Your behavior, not Hedera's fundamentals, is what keeps your portfolio in the red. Hedera is building. Enterprises are adopting. Tokenization is scaling, but you're too busy chasing instant gratification to see it. But here's the twist. This delusion could actually save you, because if you're so blinded by hopium that you never sell, you might accidentally become a true long-term holder. And ironically, long-term holders are the only ones who make it in crypto. The difference is whether you're holding with conviction or just too stubborn to admit you're clueless. So here's my advice, and it's not sugar-coated. Stop being clowns. Start acting like investors. Study the unlock schedules. Watch the enterprise adoption news. Understand utility via speculation. And for the love of God, stop treating Hbar like a scratch-off ticket. Now, let's get interactive. Drop the word clown in the comments if you've ever panic sold low, bought high, and then blamed the whales. Yeah, I know it's most of you. Own it. And hey, while you're down there, smash that like button, because if you made it this far without rage quitting, it means you secretly love me yelling at you. Admit it. But don't get comfortable yet, because the delusion problem isn't even the final boss. There's one last brutal truth that will knock the air out of you. Hedera might succeed so well, it doesn't even need you. And when that happens, you'll either be strapped to the rocket or left crying on the launch pad. Stick around. Let me say the quiet part out loud. Hedera doesn't need retail investors at all. You could dump your little bag of Hbar tomorrow and Hedera wouldn't blink. And that, my friends, is the shocking truth no one wants to talk about. But wait, didn't you convince yourself that retail investors were the foundation of every crypto project? Yeah, maybe in meme coin land where hype and FOMO are the only drivers, but Hedera isn't Dogecoin and it isn't Pepe. It's an enterprise-grade network run by some of the biggest corporations on the planet. Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom. These guys don't care about your $500 0 cents bag. They're not sitting in boardrooms saying, how do we make Jimmy in Nebraska a millionaire? They're saying, how do we save billions in settlement costs? But then here's the twist. If Hedera succeeds at what it's designed to do, it could revolutionize payments, tokenization, and digital identity, and you might not even notice. One day you'll swipe your card, get your paycheck, or transfer money overseas, and guess what? Hedera's rails could be powering it in the background, and you won't even know. That's the brutal truth. You could live in a world built on Hbar without Hbar ever making you rich. Think about that for a second. You've been daydreaming about yachts, Lambos, and early retirement, but the people actually using Hedera don't want volatility. They want stability. Enterprises want predictable costs, not moonshot speculation. If anything, they'd rather Hbar stay boring, stable, cheap. And you're cheering for chaos, green candles, and to the moon narratives. You and the enterprises aren't even playing the same game. In 2025, Hedera announced that Arcax, Lloyds Bank, and Aberdeen used tokenized money market funds on Hedera as collateral in FX trades. That's $5.4 trillion 0 cents in daily markets dipping their toes in Hedera's pool. Amazing, right? But here's the kicker. None of that required retail speculation. The deals happen at enterprise scale, locked down, permissioned, and invisible to you. That's Hedera's model. Succeed without retail hype. But then here's where it gets ironic. If Hedera doesn't pump retail bags, people call it dead. If it does pump, enterprises get nervous because volatility kills efficiency. You're begging for moonshots while the very users Hedera is courting are allergic to them. You see the conflict? Retail dreams vs enterprise reality. And guess what? Enterprise wins every time. Now let me roast you. Most of you are too stubborn to see this. You cling to the fantasy that because Hedera has better tech than Ethereum, it will automatically dethrone it. Wrong. VHS beat Betamax. Windows beat technically superior operating systems. Better doesn't guarantee market dominance, and it sure as hell doesn't guarantee wealth transfer to retail. Then comes the cruelest part. If Hedera becomes the invisible backbone of global finance, it could end up like TCP/IP, the internet protocol that powers everything. But nobody gets rich buying it. Everyone uses it, but nobody brags, bro, I bought TCP/IP at $0, 3 cents. Hedera could be that, a silent infrastructure layer. Revolutionary, but not profitable for speculators. And here's the emotional gut punch. Imagine it's 2030. You're still holding your Hbar bags, waiting for the big breakout. Meanwhile, your bank, your employer, your grocery store, they're all using Hedera rails daily. Transactions are instant, fees are pennies, and the world praises Hedera as the backbone of digital finance. But the price? Flat. Because enterprises optimize it into stability. Hedera wins, you lose. Now, does that mean Hbar is doomed? No, it means you need to change your mindset. Stop thinking like a gambler and start thinking like an investor. Pay attention to enterprise demand, treasury management, and governance decisions, because those are the levers that matter, not your hopium-filled chart drawings. But then here's the opportunity most people miss. If retail can stomach the pain long enough, if you can survive the dilution, if you can hold while adoption snowballs, then yes, Hbar could eventually deliver insane upside, because at some point, enterprise demand collides with finite supply, and when that happens, retail holders who didn't quit become the accidental winners. That's the paradox. Hedera doesn't need you, but if you stay long enough, you could still ride the wave. Here's where I challenge you. Stop pretending you're a visionary just because you hold Hbar. Start acting like one. Study the Treasury unlock schedule. Follow the enterprise partnerships. Understand the psychology of institutions. And for once in your life, stop chasing hopium. Now let's interact. Drop the word awake in the comments if you get it now. If you finally realize Hedera isn't built for your dreams, but you can still align with it if you're smart. And smash that subscribe button, not because I asked nicely, but because you know I'm the only one on YouTube who's actually telling you the truth while everyone else sugarcoats it. Because here's the reality check. Hedera's future is happening whether you like it or not. The question is simple. Will you wake up in time to benefit, or will you be another bag holder left crying about what could have been? The clock's ticking, your move.